From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on Fox 59 Tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle. We appreciate you downloading the new Fox 59 Smart TV app on your Apple, Roku, or Fire TV, and for watching us on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button above so you never miss any of the conversations that we have every night at 8 o'clock right here on Fox 59 Tonight. I've been introducing you to a lot of the cool people who work at Fox 59 now. Hey, if you're watching and you work at Fox 59 and you say, hey, I haven't been on there, does that mean I'm not cool? No, it just means I haven't got to you yet. Because there's a lot of cool people here, and I'm going to introduce you to one who you don't always see. Now, you've seen her work a couple of times. She's appeared on TV. I think at least one of those times, if not both of the times. No, at least one of the times, because I was like, the story's right there. She's in the newsroom, so put her on TV. But you see her work on FOX59.com. She has some of the most read stories on our website. She is, and we'll soon, speaking this into existence, we'll have a show here on Fox 59 Now. In our studio, Deja Studdard is our fantastic Fox 59 digital producer, soon to be talk show host, and today she's on camera doing some TV.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here with you, Cam.
I'm so glad that you are an important person here at the station. I mean, there's all the important people, and then there's me.
Oh, now stop.
And so
Stop.
I'm just glad.
Now, you know good and full well you're one of the most prolific in the city.
No,
one of the,
no,
don't do now see,
no.
now
I'm
see.
just
Everybody from here, there, and everywhere.
I'm just a guy. I just work here. I drive a bus. I do a little bit of talking every day. But I'm just glad that you were able to make time for little old me.
Oh.
Uh, Deja, you do quite a bit reporting wise. You do, like I said, some of the most read stories, some of the stories that go viral have your name next to it. Tell everybody a little bit more about what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, I write a lot about crime. There's crime every single day. I write a lot about lifestyle. I love, love, love. Nothing makes me happier than a community story. What's going on and what's happening in the community is absolutely my favorite thing. So if you ever have a story, let me know. Please email me. I love to hear about them. You know, your great grandmother turns 100 years old. I love to write stuff like that. It's fun. I think we need a happy story, a soft story in the midst of the crime that we have on a daily basis. So I do report on a lot of different subjects, a lot of different topics. And I post a lot to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That is much of the day to day in the outs of it, and that's the producer side of what I do is pretty much like scheduling to Facebook. So all the posts that you see, they don't just appear. They get there through digital producers and digital reporters, and so.
So explain how do you find these stories? Because we have reporters who go out in the field and they find stuff, but you're in here and you're putting stuff together on the website. How do you do it?
So it's a bit of a combo. Sometimes it's from the desk. So
Mm-hmm.
the desk will send us information about what, say, for example, the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department or other departments in Central Indiana, what they've said, or the fire departments. Oftentimes, those type of things, they will come directly from the desk, or they will come from court documents that are in the system. Now, when it comes to community stories, that's just rubbing elbows with people in the community, seeing who's out there, and if somebody messages me, that happens as well when people send me emails. But I just keep my ear to the streets. I have to know what's going on, and so through social media, much like everyone else. And so I'm follow thousands of people to make sure that I'm keeping myself up on what's going on around here. And of course, just I found a few stories just by being in the midst
Yes,
of
you
them.
did. Yes, you did. And
uh,
by the way, we're showing your page on the website, so you
yeah,
can find how to contact Deja. It's dstuttered at
yes.
fox59.com. You can email her any story ideas as well. But yes, you were also part of a few stories.
A few. Now, this isn't my favorite way to get the stories, but there have been a few times. I do. I was out one night at the sugar factory, and there was a big shooting there, and multiple people, I believe, were shot. And it was extremely dangerous. It's not that the shooting was at the sugar factory; it was just in the downtown area. And then the people, I think they were like looking for a safe haven or a place to go, and they brought this into the restaurant, and it was at the front of the restaurant, and it was really scary. Everybody was like, "Get down, get down, get down." And we're like under tables. I mean, it was like something out of a movie. And then they were like, "Don't get up, don't get up." So there were people at the front. They were like, "It's not safe to get up." But once I saw that there was an exit door, I got up and got out as fast as what I could. I didn't even have my shoes on. And people were like, "Well, how didn't you have your shoes on?" Because I just had on slides, and I had just kind of slid out of them when I was sitting there. And I was just like, I just gotta go. I to this day I haven't got my shoes back. I had a jacket. I never got that back. But as long as I had my keys and my cell phone, I was good. So sometimes you do. I have kind of got a little bit of name of being a bit of a street reporter, because I was talking to some people at different stations, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're the girl that's always at the shootings." I was like, "Now wait a
Hey,
second. Now wait a
I
second."
don't know if that's right place, wrong time, or wrong place, right time.
Fortunately, when you work in a newsroom, that's okay. The other shooting that I was at was at the mall. I work at the mall part time. I work at Mac Cosmetics, so come
Hmm.
see me there.
Hmm.
Get your makeup. But I was working in the mall this day. This was Cameron. This was the day. I think it was like a couple days before Christmas, and the mall is packed. There's so many people there. There's just so much stuff going on, and it's fun. Like, it's exciting, to see them all. Especially post COVID. Sometimes those kind of places don't always get crowded, and so it's exciting. And then somebody, it just didn't take much. They get in an argument or something sort of that type of sort, and there was a shooting in the mall. And the cool thing about being somebody that works in a newsroom is that you're pretty much always on. And
Hmm.
so I text emailed the newsroom immediately, let them know that a shooting was going on. And we were the first people out there because I'm literally right there, able to speak to police. And so making sure that your phone has a charge, that it's with you,
Hmm.
and that you are able to contact people immediately. Getting to that source is really, really incredibly important as a journalist, just to kind of always be on. I mean, and that's just those are two of the biggest things. But even one day I was driving past, I don't know if you know about this one, Cam. I was driving past an apartment complex that I live near. And I mean, it was just police everywhere. And I was like, this is just crazy. And even moments like that, you gotta be able to hop on it, take pictures, take video, and speak to people at the scene,
Hmm.
if possible. And so, yeah. So that's
Now,
how I get the stories.
so the sugar factory one was the one where that's the one where I was like, the person who was there is in the newsroom right now. Is that
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Okay.
that is the one. Sometimes, when you're behind the scenes, I think people forget, that the news doesn't just appear.
Hmm.
There are people behind the scene producers who write the things, who edit the things, who make things happen
So that was
for
on
the news.
that would have been on a Sunday morning, right?
Yes, that
So
was
because
because
you
I
were out
believe it was.
Saturday night,
Yeah, yes.
and so what happened for those of you at home, Deja was here working. I had saw on Facebook that she was out the night before, and she had posted, I was at the sugar factory, yada yada. So when Sunday morning is happening, we're trying to figure out what is the new, how do we cover the story, who was there, does anybody know any witnesses, did you see any video, yada yada online. And Deja is here in the station. She is at work sitting at her desk, and I'm like, I chime in, I'm like, hey, Deja, who's our producer, who's sitting 20 feet from y'all on TV right now, was at the sugar factory. So when this happened, so somebody needs to go get her and pull her on TV and talk about it. And that's what they did. I think you did what, one or two hits.
I did several interviews from that because a few reporters after that had reached out to me.
Yes.
So I did quite a few. Thank you
Mhm.
for, it's always nice to have an advocate in the newsroom and someone to look out for you in some ways, and so I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome. I also just trying to make it easy for everybody. I'm like, you don't have to go find it. It's right there.
Yeah, it was wild. It was a wild
Glad, of
night.
course, that you were okay in
Yeah.
all of those situations that you were in,
Yeah.
because those were not, you didn't just happen to be there when the circus came in town. The stuff that you were surrounded by was not great.
No, but that's a part of the good thing for me is that there's a benefit in when you're in a newsroom is that you can literally direct pipeline this stuff straight to the news, and so it gives Fox 59 an edge. Certainly to have people like me here.
Yes, because that morning nobody else had somebody on the spot. I mean, you were in the studio, so it looked like we had this inside scoop and everything, and we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're no stranger to crowds. You can handle a room. So that's why I was like, get up there, get on that desk and explain what you saw. You come on now, don't be acting shy now. Because Deja, you're also a comedian.
I do a little stand up
Do a little
here.
stand
I
up.
do a little stand up there.
You come from a family of performers.
Of entertainers.
Yes.
Yes. Ruben Studdard is my cousin. If for those of you who were American Idol, which I feel like at that point it was really a part of the culture to watch American Idol, but Ruben Studdard, yes, he's my cousin. And my dad's side of the family is from Alabama and Birmingham, and so that's where he's from, and so that's where that comes from. We just seen him on TV. We didn't know him until we seen him on TV, and we had the same last name, and it's not like Studdard is, that common,
There you go.
So,
Here he is. There's Cuz.
Oh yeah, that's him. It's not, it's not that common of a name. And so
you guys resemble favor.
And so everybody's like, "Oh my God, is that family?" And so we found out my dad, he actually had a concert, like had like an American Idol concert with the winners at the time. And we were really, 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 really young. And this was at the Murat. And my dad goes like banging on the door. I didn't even know like how he knows which door to bang on, like how he knew that. Maybe life was just different back then, less security or something like that. But he goes banging on the door and he's like, "We're related, we're family." And Ruben, he says, "Well, if he's family, name one person in the family that you're related to." And my dad says Hiawatha. And Ruben was just taken back by this because he was like, "You couldn't come up with a name, Hiawatha. You may be able to come up with John or David or, something of that sort, but you couldn't come up with Hiawatha." And so that's how we ended up meeting him for the first time. And so, we've been cool ever since.
So how often do you, where is he actually like from?
Birmingham.
He's from Birmingham. Okay. Okay.
Alabama. Yeah.
So you yourself, and as like I said, you're on stage. You're doing stuff.
Yeah.
You're doing some shows. What is that like? Because that is totally different from that. I think that's like your. Is that your Sasha Fierce? Because you have.
Yeah, that's my alter ego.
Because being a digital producer is the exact opposite. You're doing work and really nobody sees you doing it. And versus being on stage, you are the star.
Yeah, so it's totally different. You know, what got me into it was I just really enjoyed watching stand up. I just love watching comedy. It was a great escape for me. It made me laugh. It made me feel good. It made me feel better, especially just really throughout all of my life, but certainly like around the time COVID hit, I just loved to watch a special. I just loved it. And then one day I was on Netflix and I had watched special after special after special, and this was during the COVID era where we're like all kind of stuck in the house. And I watched some specials and I was just like, man, I think I could do better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe I got a little cocky and I said, well, if I survive COVID, then on the other side of COVID, then I'll start performing comedy and to see if I can actually do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, I thought about it for a second. I was like, this probably has to be hard to hold a room, to make people laugh, to talk about what's going on in your life, to be that vulnerable, that this has to be a bit of a difficult experience. But I did in fact survive COVID, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And it was perfect because we had just gotten a club downtown called Helium.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy clubs really struggle to survive, they really do. And they've struggled in Indianapolis as well, all the same. But getting a Helium, I liken it to, I would tell people that it's like getting a Walmart or a McDonald's or a Dairy Queen. It's just kind of like if this small town area gets something like Helium. It's a chain of
Mm-hmm.
comedy clubs, but what it does is it now has people in Indianapolis passing through who wouldn't have typically passed through before.
Mm-hmm.
And these aren't the big people, like say for example Kevin Hart. They would have come and they would of course sold out, but these are people at a bit of a smaller, not like maybe a mid-size level. And so that has presented a really great opportunity, and it's where I got my start, and where I very first performed on stage was at Helium
Was that
Comedy.
helium? Okay.
Yeah, in Indianapolis downtown. And so yes, it's fun. I enjoy, you know, that lifestyle. I would classify myself as like a comedian that likes to, I got to tip on the tightrope because I,
Mm-hmm.
I do like more like say political comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I like real life. I like real stories. That's more so think like The Daily Show,
Mm-hmm.
even educational comics, Amanda Seals, Roy
Mm-hmm.
Wood Jr., D.L. Hughley. I
Mm-hmm.
love, for me, there has to be a level of activism attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when it comes to comedy, this is just a way that it's easy for people to understand what you're talking about when you've got a joke behind it, and it's real life, but you got a joke behind it.
So how do you? Some of this comedy stuff is writing itself, and in fact,
Yeah.
it's so wild that uh, you wouldn't even believe that
Yeah.
this is real.
Yeah. Some of
Um,
them.
we got Trump and Musk right now giving us a comedy that you were like, there's no way
Just
that you could write this.
comedy gold. I mean, you don't even have to write it. It just really writes itself. So I don't talk a lot much about like at that high of a level.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't. I do my best to try to stay away. I know just said, oh, I'm a political comedian, but I do
Mm-hmm.
like to keep it a little lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them.
You can upset people.
Yeah, yeah. And so and then that's the tightrope and the tight line that you gotta walk a little bit, but you have to be true to yourself and
Mm-hmm.
true to who you are. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, mindful of that. And you come see me and you're not lost on where I stand.
So, what was your first joke? What was the first joke you wrote?
Oh my God. I don't. Oh my goodness, it's such a hard question.
Mm.
I mean, it's been, oh my God. Like, what was the first thing?
And did you record it?
Yeah. Yeah. What I used to do was I used to record just like on my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
Mm-hmm.
me just talking. I recorded like that. Oh man. What was I golly.
Okay,
Oh my goodness. I have literally no idea. Yeah, I have no clue what my first joke. My first joke? No idea.
So like, okay, so when you're when you were thinking, okay, I'm gonna be this comedian, who did you think about? Um, who do you think about you want to be like and craft yourself, not copy, but there's a version in everything, especially performers. You saw somebody else do it and you like how they do it. Like in some of my radio delivery, there's a little Tom Joyner in there.
Mhm.
Some Steve Harvey. What your tail say?
Not some Steve Harvey.
um, but and then when you anchor and you do the news, it's all based off of somebody that you saw. So which comedian for you were like, let me take some notes.
So I mentioned a lot of great comedians that I like, but one of my absolute all-time favorites, I think that he does such a good job, especially like in the early, mid 2000s. I think he did such a good job at talking about political comedy, but making it real and digestible for everyday people, and that is Chris Rock.
Mm.
I just love Chris Rock down. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he doesn't always get the respect he
Mm-hmm.
deserves, for being a really, really great comedian, who's ahead of his time, who has always been ahead of his time, and very smart comedian. But I think what makes him so smart, as opposed to a lot of other very smart comedians, is that he knows and he knew in that era when he was, at his height, he really knew how to make those hard subjects digestible.
Mm-hmm.
Whoopi Goldberg is another one who knows how to make those tough things really easy for people to navigate and really easy for people to like understand in a way that makes it real. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes comedians, they can get a little, maybe a little too, on that end of the scale, can get a little too smart, and then people start to feel distance,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like they don't know what they're talking about and they don't understand it. And that's where they get smaller crowds and smaller rooms. But I love what Chris Rock has done and through his comedy. It's super. I think it's I think it's comedy gold for, like a comedian that tends to lean a little politically.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda Sykes has that same type of,
Mm-hmm. I love
vibe.
one.
Yeah, so I that's my kind of comedy line, and of course your personal stories, what you personally go through,
Mm-hmm.
is of course, important to add to that as well, because we don't like a copy and paste comedian. We
Mm-hmm.
don't like that. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta, tell it from your side, and what you're going through and everything. But
In my, um, I think I'm funny. I could hold a room.
sure, you could. I
Um,
want to see what an open mic now.
well, but hold on. Here's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
I don't think I'd want to be a stand-up comedian. I would want to be a sitcom comedian. Like I've always
Okay.
wanted to be in my other life, living in Los Angeles, doing sitcoms.
A sitcom,
Mm-hmm.
sitcom cam. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be about? Like your family,
Well, I don't know. I didn't say I had to
or
be the
like,
star. I could. I didn't have to be the star. I just see myself in sitcoms. Like I'm
yeah,
good at situational comedy.
yeah, and they're different. Like a
Yes.
person who I really, really, really love, who doesn't, as far as I know, do stand up, is Melissa McCarthy. I think she's super funny. Like all
Mm-hmm.
the movies that she's in, to me,
Mm-hmm.
are just so funny because she's there and because she's in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see her do much stand up, and so and that's the other thing, is it's like there are people who all they do it is like say Drewski or someone,
Mm-hmm.
they just do it online. They just
Doing
do it on social
skits.
media and TikTok. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? That's a form of comedy, you
But
know?
but it's funny because each of those is different in that, like a sitcom, um, it's not just you. You've
Mhm.
got other cast members,
Yeah.
but you also, the ones that I prefer, I want to do it taped in front of a live studio audience,
Hmm.
because then you get that immediate reaction, which is the same as when you're on stage doing your set.
Hmm.
You know immediately if that joke is
Yeah.
catching or if it fell.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then when a joke immediately, I always think you should try to maybe run it past somebody
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can, tell if this is just me. Usually I think a good rule of thumb is if it makes you laugh, it'll probably make somebody else laugh
Mm-hmm.
too. But just in case, it could
Right.
be helpful to have a few trusted people in your life to run it by.
And you did that before your first set?
running by somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. And the secret is really just like if you just write like a minute a day,
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit every day, and then
And how
by
did you do on the set?
I mean, I think I did great, and I think my family, they really enjoyed it, and they also said that I did great as well.
Good.
So in my I had a comedy,
Is this
you
on
know,
YouTube somewhere?
mentor. It's I know at least some of it's on my IG, like my Instagram page.
Okay, we'll try to pull that up so we can see
Oh
a little.
no,
Yeah.
nothing.
Mm-hmm. You got to start somewhere. Get that fan following going. God, you got to sell these tickets when you're up on stage too.
That is so funny.
So we're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
Deja, we're gonna take a commercial break real quick.
Okay.
Because not only are you digital producer, are you a comedian, Johnny on the spot with reporting, but talk show host is in your future. We're gonna explore some of that. And what Deja's show? Will we have a name yet?
The deep dive.
That's right. And who came up with that?
Me and a few other people. Matt Christie was he's another digital producer. He just spitfires names. So he was really helpful in that, and so yeah, I'll give him his props for helping me. Better than what Matt Adams came up with was Deja got shot. And David Gay, Deja in danger. So
Well,
we'll go with the deep dive.
When I said the deep dive, I said the Deja deep dive. So, when Wendy would go to the couch, go move over, she would always, how you doing? So then you got to say, let's go 3D. That'd be you.
Oh,
yes.
We love that.
Yeah. Let's go 3D with Deja. We'll be right back with more Fox 59 tonight after this.